So I'm here to talk with you about street art, which is actually what I'm talking about always and all the time, all over and over again. So yeah, I'm hoping to meet your expectation in that field. Well, first of all, I'm an artist as well. I started to paint graffiti in the middle of 90s. That was I think 1996 or something like that. When this movement came to Poland and became very popular, usually, basically among people who were interested in hip hop subculture, they were roller skating, using skateboards, and also graffiti cans. So they started to mark their areas with their tags. So how many of you are also from the graffiti background? Is there any of you?
How many graffiti painter? One, two, three. Okay,
That's fine.
we
So
have some people who working with stencil, and before we had very famous artist, stencil artist from UK. Maybe you know, with sociopath.
Yeah, I know that one. I've just been to Lviv like I think a week ago, and I've seen his stencils on the Virminska street. So yeah, but I know him from the internet as
Yeah,
well.
he is here now actually.
Oh really? Which one of you?
Can you move? Да. He's moving. Oh, here is moving. You see?
Hello, guy. I really enjoyed your stencils. Good job. Well done. So we basically have some history of this street art thing in Poland already, and it all started around 2000 when graffiti became something more narrative, something more egalitarian, something more ambitious, and from the lettering and making tags, it slowly moved to some, you know, telling stories, just let's say, and then slowly after few months, few years, people started to grow with all these things, and that's how we came into murals, these big paintings in the wall on the walls that we already knew from the history, and I think you also know them because I believe in Ukraine you also had these murals like Soviet times, advertisemental murals that were advertising things that you actually couldn't buy in the shop, but they were still advertising it. So that was a bit funny. I think you had them also. Did you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's
Yeah.
true.
So they were not written very serious actually, and for the today we also have plenty of them in Poland, but they are still removing them each one by one because they are reconstructing buildings and they're making them more warm. They're trying to protect buildings, but they are destroying the murals. And after that, we started to paint these big pictures on the walls. And for the moment, each one of the district capitals, like you would say oblast, I think, in Ukraine, these areas, each one of the capital of this district has its own street art festival, so-called. It's never the same, but it's basically kind of the same idea. Some of them are focused on the contemporary art, and street art is just a part of the program of this event. Some of them are especially focused on street art. So for the moment, we have in Poland, I think, 14 capitals of districts in the country, and I was actually making a map of it that I can't show you, but I can read it to you. So, sorry. The cities that are organizing festivals of street arts in this term of institutional way, they're like Gdynia, Gdańsk, Białystok, Poznań, Warszawa, Łódź, Wrocław, Lublin, Katowice, and Krakow. So like 10 of them. So each one of them is producing. I'm saying producing, but I'm actually saying it on purpose. I will follow with this subject later. They are producing about 20, maybe 25 murals per year. So when you count it, it's like 250 paintings yearly. So it's quite a lot, actually.
But not only
And
from Polish artists, but from all over the world. Yeah.
from all over the world, and actually there is, I think, more foreign artists painting in Poland than actually Polish painters, Polish artists. because some of the cities have this municipal policy to invite like big names, big stars from street art stars, like Aris, like Ozymeos, like Blue, like the other guys, and they are coming and painting like each city. Like for example, Blue, he has a mural in Krakow, in Wrocław, I think maybe three different murals, one in Poznan, one in, or maybe two in Warsaw, so many of them. And well, this is also a problem that we will be discussing further in this meeting. But what I wanted to focus you on is maybe it's not yet a problem for Ukraine because you're just starting with all this street art activity. I'm meaning institutional street art activity. But in Poland, we have this problem currently that we are producing a lot of murals and no one is actually putting any questions about what for whom, what about, and this kind of stuff. So there are like two big festivals in Poland. One is located in Łódź and it's called Urban Forms. You may be heard of it. It's Urban Forms Gallery in Łódź. And it's a big one, and what they do, they produce this very aesthetic murals with really big names from worldwide art scene, but they are never trying to locate these walls in any context. So in the other words, they are not interested in problematizing street art. They are interested in aestheticizing street art. They are making pictures that are beautiful and everyone likes them, but they are actually telling nothing. Do you follow me? What I want to say? Yeah. But on the other hand, we have this festival in Katowice. It's called Street Art Festival Katowice, and this is completely a different approach to street art. They are producing problematizing walls with very hard and very contextual content that is sometimes too difficult for people. You know what I mean? So we have like these two cities. We have Łódź that is making really nice pictures for people, but they are not touching anything important. And on the other hand, with Katowice, they do very contextual, very, let's say,
Social art, maybe.
well, at the beginning conceptual, but then also like social engaged things. But they may be too hard sometimes. So the question is, who is giving the right to the curators and art directors of the festivals to decide for people what they should be attacked with, let's say, what they should be crushed with, yeah? So that's, in my opinion, I'm representing more critical approach to street art now in Poland, and the main problem for me is not to paint as much as possible, but to paint important things, yeah? Things that are needed in the communities. I'm leading this project in Krakow that is called 101 Murals for Krakow, and you may be interested in some, institutional aspects of making murals, or maybe in some artistic approach, or maybe in some critical approach. Whatever you are interested in, I'm kind of expert in this kind of stuff, so whatever interests you. I hope you hear me well and you understand what I say.
I think that for beginning it would be good. Like before, we had one organizer from Portugal,
Yes.
also by Skype, and one question was interesting for our participants is how you prepare to make a street art, for example, festival. How you deal with the government about that things, because in Ukraine it can be a huge problem in some cities.
Well, if it's an institutional street art event, like a festival, for example, then of course we have to cooperate with some partners, and the most important partner would be the city government. Yeah. So in terms of every permissions we need to achieve, so we have to contact someone from the city and try to coordinate our actions with the municipal policy. So the first thing is usually to propose the city some kind of activity that we want to do. But it's not necessarily to start with the top of the structure of the city government. You can start with the lower level. You can start with the, for example, with the promotional department of the city, or maybe department of the culture. Well, in the end, you have to have a permission from the person who is in charge of the visual aspects of the city. You have it also in Ukraine, because when I've been to Lviv last week, I was speaking with a person from the city council, that is responsible for cultural and promotional policy of the city. And she said you have the same kind of procedure we have in Poland. So you have to prepare a project, a visualization of the artwork, and show it to the municipal.
But how they like if you show in the projects, and how often they don't like the projects and they change in the concept of the project?
Well,
This
actually
happen
very
of
often, but
yeah.
that's why you need a curator. You need a person like me, for example, or any of you, who will be cooperating with the artists in terms of achieving the permission to make a mural. So, in other words, you are in charge as a curator. You're in charge of selecting a wall in the city. And you walk through the city and you say, okay, this wall would be interesting. This is a nice exposed wall in the center of the city. So I would like to make a mural. I would like to find an artist and make mural here. Then you contact an artist. You send a photography of the wall, and he is preparing a contextual design for the wall. And then you take this project to a city government and you say, we want to make a mural like that, so we need a permission to do it. Then they ask a lot of questions about what is this picture about, why this kind of colors, not the other ones, and so on and so on. So your role as a curator is to convince them that the picture has a good quality, yeah? So usually they want to interfere somehow, but everything is negotiable. You can negotiate with them, yeah, in some way. So it's always kind of a tricky, because you have on one hand you have this person who's responsible for the visual aspects of the city. On the other hand, you have the person called conservator, who is responsible for monuments in the city, and for example UNESCO area, because in Krakow we have this old center of the city, and we have this UNESCO program that is preserving the old part of the city. So you have to negotiate with them. And but the most important thing probably is to convince them that the city needs these kind of activities, and that this has some impact on the city, on the touristic aspect, on the promotional aspect, business aspect, all the other kinds. Well, when you have a completely devastated building, so then making a mural or any other kind of street art activity on this building will raise the value of the possession, yeah. So, or even in a neighborhood, all of you probably read these articles about Banksy, that is painting on the buildings, and then suddenly the value of the building is rising
Yeah.
rapidly. So. This is also an argument. Of course, this is all about gentrification, and but this is the completely other subject. So the, that would be probably how it should be done, from selecting the wall, selecting an artist, making a project, presenting a project to a city council or aesthetic or whoever is deciding, and then you have to organize the other things like paints, crane, and all the other things like the accommodation for the artist and paying for his flight to the city you are active in, and all the other things. So you need sponsors, of course, too. But this is, I think, the other thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The next.
And for example, if the artist have a very good project and he want to implement this project, but the government say no, They do it illegally or no?
Well, if you want to make a festival, it's rather
No, no,
hard to
no.
make it
I'm not talking
illegally.
about the festival. I'm talking just about paintings.
Well,
How
if you want
often?
to paint, just go to the street and paint. You don't need me for that. Just take your cans and go, make stencils, tags, paint trains, whatever you like. But if you want to make it officially, then you need to make several steps to
Mm-hmm.
make it true. I love spontaneous illegal street art and graffiti, but it's basically not the thing that I can teach you about. That's the thing you do,
Okay.
just do. Yeah. So you actually can't work institutionally in terms of making a festival and do something illegal, because that would be the last time you make it. So that's basically the answer.
Okay, and we have one more question. It's about the street art in Poland. Like for the last, if we will take like 5 or 10 years ago, it was not so widespread in Poland, and now it's became very popular in Poland and in every city, as you said, you have these
Yes,
paintings. How it happens?
it's
What
even
was?
a bit too popular.
It was just because of festivals, or something happened other in country what changed the situation?
Well, murals, these big paintings on the walls, they basically vary between each other. I think the main difference between several types of murals is the motivation. So some murals are made for promotional, aspects. The other ones are made for informational aspects. Some of them are commemorative. They are to commemorate something. Yeah. Some of them are related to some governmental programs of, like for example, each year we have this year of someone, like year of Chopin, year of Moniuszko, year of Kolberg, or whatever, like big figures from the history of art. So there are like several different projects, but the problem is that the murals that are made on several occasions, they are not so much high quality, and there are lots of occasions to make mural and to be paid for that by the government, but mostly the final effect is not very sufficient. So if you're asking what happened in the last 5 years that street art became so popular, I think it just came all the way from off to the mainstream. That's basically what happened. From very off, subcultural um, event or not event movement, it made all the way towards the mainstream. It was very visible in outdoor advertisement, in clothing, yeah, or in television, everywhere. Suddenly, street art became an aesthetic of street art became very popular in media, in mass media. That was a kind of a part of a mainstream pop culture. So, well, in Poland we have several different institutions that are interested in making murals, and they are sometimes very unexpected, because it's starting from the in countrywide government to the city governments, to the neighborhood governments, schools, museums, different kind of institutes, art galleries. Everyone wants to have a mural now, because it's like very cheap in terms of the budgets of the big institutions, very effective because there's something happening on the wall for 3, 5, even a week days long, and in the end you have this colorful picture that costed you, I don't know, 5,000 zlotys, and it's less than making billboards or whatever else. So suddenly everyone is interested in murals and street art, but it's not a very good situation from my point of view. But anyway, um, that thing that you can have artistic murals and you can have murals that are made for something, and they are being made for promotional, informational, commemorative, and revitalization purposes. And this is also an argument for you to talk with the people who are deciding about it. But please be careful with that. I mean, um, you have to be very careful about the subjects of this street art festival, you know, activities. They cannot be very utilitarian. You know what I mean?
Mm,
You, I'm not sure if I'm expressing myself clearly in this, but let's try some more questions. Maybe we will make it clearer.
and a very interesting question is about the money. Where you getting money for making street art and yeah, and for festivals? You do
Well,
fundraising or government help you or you have some funds which help you to do it?
so the main framework we have is non-governmental organizations, different kinds. We have two kinds of them in Poland. There are associations and foundations, and you can easily settle one of them. I mean, association you can settle within 15 people. When you have 15 people, you can make an association, and the foundation can be done just one person only, but you have to pay an amount of money for the registration. So association is for free. You can register it for free when you have 15 people who wants to do something together. Foundation can be registered one person only, but it has to be paid for the legislation. So these are ways of establishing a non-governmental institution in Poland. And these institutions can be an operator of several different activities. First of all, and maybe the most important, they can apply for grants, for money. So, so that's what we do. But you can apply to the city government, to the country government, to the region government, which is also important. So like on different levels, you can try to gain money from the governmental institutions. There are several different institutes that promote, for example, literature or whatever else, and you can also apply to them. But we also apply to private sponsorship. So, for example, we call the company that is producing paints. Let's say we have this Flugger, Kabe, Dulux, maybe 3 or 4 big brands producing paint, not spray paint, but this regular paints, elevation emulsia paint, this kind of stuff.
And
So we write to them and we say we want to make murals. We want to use your paint. We will promote you as a good producer of a nice paint if you support us with what we need. But the thing we do is that we never allow them to put their logotypes, to put their branding on the mural, directly on the mural. I think it's a very bad way to do that. I mean, we try always to convince them that they will gain some other kind of benefit from that. It's not the most important thing to have their logotype, their branding on the mural. It's always better to allow them, for example, to allow them to use the image of the mural for their own promotional purpose. So for the website, for a calendar for the next year. Yeah, for example, they can have a calendar with their murals. Like each one month has a different photography with different mural made with the paints they produce. That's fine for them. They can send this calendar to their key clients and they can say, these murals were done with our paints. And then they can put their logotype, their branding on the cover of the calendar or whatever, wherever they like. For example, we ask them for money, like we ask them for 8,000 zlotys for paint, yeah, for example, and they say, okay, we will give you 10,000, but you have to spend 2,000 on advertisements, yeah.
mhm.
So it's easier for us as a non-governmental organization to make, for example, sponsored material in a newspaper, yeah,
But
to pay for a one page in Newsweek Poland, for example, to promote our mural And not to forget to mention our sponsor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's easier for us than for the company to promote themselves. That would be more expensive for them. So it's easier for them to give us more money and to push the all the PR and promotional work, because that will be cheaper, because newspapers prefer non-governmental organizations to work with than the commercial companies. So it's much cheaper for us. That's one of the hints that could be possible. Um,
But you're talking about rights, but when we had the previous artists also and some organizers, they talk they like if you made the paintings, okay, during the process it belong to you, but after the process it's not your property, and anybody can do whatever they want. You not
well,
agree?
yes, but on the other hand, we can provide them, the sponsor, with some extra material. We can provide him with the let's say we can make a movie with HD cam during the painting process, step by step. We can make this, when you make photography each 30 seconds, for example, and then
Mm-hmm.
you make it
Yes.
fast forward, and you can see how the mural is painted by step. Yeah. For example, that's what we can done easily. We can make a camera, a HD camera, located in front of the mural, and make a footage that is, for example, I don't know, 20 hours long, and then we make 2 minutes out of it, very fast video clip, how the mural is being done. And that this is something exclusive that can be, delivered by us to the sponsor. They can use it on their website. For example, try to Google or try on YouTube to type Dulux Let's Color. That's the name of the action. It's called Let's Color by Dulux. That's AkzoNobel company. They make paints. Try to Google that, or,
Uh-huh.
or YouTube. We've been doing that in Poland for a few years. I was kind of a like ambassador of this mark, of this brand, and we've painted, I think, like maybe 30 murals all over Poland, and we were preparing the footage, like video, promotional video for the sponsor, and that worked very well. Like some interviews with people, some fast forward footage, and that was it, with some nice music, and ta-da, that's enough for them. And that's, of course, everyone can make a photo of a ready wall. Yeah, as you said, it's not longer our property, but it's not exactly how it works, because as an artist or a curator or as an organization that developed something, you have these rights. They're like lifelong rights for artistic product. Yeah, so you cannot be. Of course, everyone can make a photo and make a calendar out of it, and you can just sue them to the court, and that's everything you can do. But you can deliver to the sponsor some other kind, extra exclusive material. Um, yeah, that would be basically these. It's always good for their image to support artists and culture, and that's why big brands are supporting festivals like, Coke Festival or Heineken Opener or whatever. Yeah, they're like they want to have this image of a pro-cultural and pro-artistic company.
Yeah, and you have like a lot of contests in Poland, and how you looking for artists? How you involved artists to this content? And for example, can somebody from Ukraine be involved in your project?
Yes, of course, and we work on two different basics, and one of them is contests. We just recently made a contest in Krakow for a mural, and it's the mural is located in the center of the city, and the contest was, I think the main award was 5,000 zlotys, and it could be applied by anyone, like whoever wanted. And we actually got some submissions from Ukraine also. By some artists send us some propositions for this contest. In the end, we have chosen a person from Poland, but we had some submissions from, I think, 3 or 4 different countries, including Ukraine. So, and the submission is free, so you don't have to pay for that. You just have to the design for the contest and to send it to us, the visualization. So it's easy to access the contest.
And
This was actually this
where
was
to
actually
find information about it?
Sorry, you can type 101 murals for Krakow. It's the name of the foundation I run in Krakow, and we are setting contests. We are also looking for some artists to invite them for dedicated works. Like we organize everything for them: the travel, the accommodation, the crane, paints, and other stuff. So we are planning some activities for spring also. So. Try to be to be to have us in a site to just to check our website from time to time or just find us or Facebook. On Facebook, you have to type 101 murals for Krakow and then you will find a Facebook group with all the latest news inside. Um, this was actually the third contest I was running in Krakow. The last one 2 years ago, it was a really huge one. That was a mural that was 1,600 square meters, and the main award was 40,000 zlotys just for a project without the realization, without the painting. It was just for design, and we supported the winner with all the necessary equipment, paints and everything. The whole budget of the project was 150,000 zlotys, so it was quite a big thing. And but I'm thinking now about maybe just to quit contests for some time because I think we need some more specified, more conceptual works for the moment. So I'm kind of tired with the contests for the moment. We will be back to contests maybe next year, late autumn. But what we are going to start with spring is dedicated works from selected artists, basically from Poland, and we are also willing to invite some people from Ukraine. There's also another project that I'm working on, and that's for Ukraine actually, and we started some talks with the city government of Lviv, and we are also thinking about setting some street art festival in Lviv in cooperation with the local artists. Well, actually, it will be fully organized by the local artists from Lviv and local curators from Lviv, but I'm thinking about having this role of kind of a coach or tutor, and I'm thinking about going there in March next year for maybe 2 or 3 weeks to show how it all works, how to achieve all the permissions, how to gain money for sponsorship and yeah, these other things. So let's be in touch and try to follow the Institute Mista in Lviv. They are involved in this project, and maybe some of you could come also if you're interested to see how it all works. In practice, let's say, because it's really hard to give you all this know-how and knowledge through the Skype. It's always better to meet and to talk more and to spend some time together. And I was just recently in Lviv a week ago or two on this conference organized by Industrial Culture Association from Lviv, and they're into revitalizing the post-industrial spaces in Pizzamce in Lviv, and they want to include some murals also. So I think we will be cooperating. This street art festival I'm thinking about would be probably set somewhere inside of this institution. So please follow the Industrial Culture Association and Institute Mista in Lviv, and that would be probably easier to meet if you're interested to take part in this kind of workshops.
Great, great. It would be good. And also we want to know like about to go back to fundings if
Yes.
you have some taboo for financial support, like for example some companies from which you don't want to get money in any way.
Well, actually not. Not. I mean, if they produce pornography, that's maybe not the best idea, but
Okay.
but basically why not? I mean, if they produce, let's say our sponsor for the last mural was Kasha. Kasha, they produce this, equipment for cleaning. You
Uh-huh.
know Kasha, yeah,
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
they
yeah, we know it.
so they are
Yep, yep.
not in any way connected with art or muralism or whatever. They just wanted to, rise up a bit their image as a company friendly to artists and culture. So we say, why not? I mean, all you can do for us is to clean the wall between we start to paint it. So that's nice, you can do it for us, but maybe it's not enough, so better pay us like 10,000 zlotys, that would be cool. And they said, why not?
And what about the companies who producing cigarettes or alcohol?
Well, they never actually wanted to support us, so there was no problem like that. But it's a tricky thing because, of course, we don't like them, yeah, because especially the guys who make cigarettes. I don't know how many of you are smoking. I'm actually a heavy drinker, so I like vodka, but I'm not very into cigarettes. But so it's always like different. But I would definitely not like to have a logotype of Marlboro or I don't know Smirnoff on my promotional materials with my murals. But there was never a case like that, so I can't respond you correctly. But I think if a beer maker will come to me and they said you can have like I don't know 1,000 bottles of beer for a vernissage, and we will additionally give you like 2,000 zlotys. So I would probably say why not?
Mm-hmm. And if I understand you correctly, like you have people who mostly dealing with the management,
Yes,
and you have
definitely.
artists. So maybe it's because like you have a lot of managers from art who organizes all these festivals. That's why it became so popular in Poland now.
Well, I'm not.
Or artists also can do the same thing, like to
I
manage.
think artists also can do the same kind of thing, especially at the beginning when you're starting with your organization. But in the end, or after some time, it would be nice to divide how to say, duties, yeah, to divide them because, artist is for making art and curator is for curating and culture manager is for managing, and everyone is good in something else. I mean, you can do all of them or both or whatever. But in the end, something is done wrong. I mean, when you are very much into organizing the crane, the money, the paint, and everything, so suddenly you recognize that maybe in time when you are driving to another city, paint or of the crane or achieving the permissions. Maybe in this time, it would be better if you would focus on working with your artist as a curator, and to have a better effect at the end. So it's always good to divide the duties after some time, or maybe from the beginning if it's possible. I'm not sure what kind of professions you are into. So if you are artists or curators or art managers, or you're more into money or whatever. I've just seen some people raise their hands when I asked about graffiti background, but who of you has some manager backgrounds?
Who
Do
have
I see any
Christina?
like people who are managers or not really?
Yeah, we have
Please, Tom,
three
first, who is a
persons,
manager?
three persons from here.
We have some of them.
And all,
Okay,
yeah, okay, four people who are also.
4 people. That's fine. I mean, 4 people is like, it's even 3 more than you need, actually. To be honest, if you have a good manager, that's one is enough.
Okay, we will take away three others. Okay, I'm kidding.
It's always good to have a nice, let's say, girl, for example, who's good in this kind of stuff, and she can always go for a company and say to another to a owner of the company, like, we have a nice project, we are a nice group of people, Like you see, we even have a girl in team, and I'm capable of managing this project. So let's be in touch, and we always send a girl. I don't know why, but we always send a girl.
We send
They are
Christina.
better.
Christina
They
is
are
doing
better
this.
than guys. I don't know why. They work better in this kind of stuff. They always come back with money. I don't know how they do that.
We have Christina for these things.
Good.
Yeah, maybe
So
some special tips for people who will do management, like what kind of threats can be during organizing this contest or festivals or whatever.
Well, I think you should always handle your artist very tight. That's the first thing, because they are always like full of ideas and very creative and very dynamic and diverse in what they are capable of. But in the end, they can't count money, and they can't possibly tell you properly how many paints they need, and this kind of stuff. So we always like I'm my manager. They always the girl. She always calls me or write me an email like how many paint do we need? But just Artur, just tell me like 30% more than we need because we are always short on it. So this kind of stuff like always count like additional 5 hours of crane work. Always count like additional 20 liters of paint. Always count additional 20 cans of spray. This kind of stuff. Like always be prepared because when you go for sponsor, it doesn't matter for him if he gives you like 100 liters or 150 liters. Yeah, that's basically the same for him. If you make a deal and the deal is done, it doesn't matter for them how many paint they give you. If they produce it, they have a big factory and they don't give a shit how many of it you need. So always take some more, like 30% more than you need because in any case, you have a backup. So that's the thing that we always are short on. And of course you need someone with a car who's driving and just helping you to manage all the stuff. Like you can always call him and tell him like, come on, we need to bring very fast some rollers or brushes or whatever, or pick up an artist from an airport and we need a transport. These kind of stuff, logistics. So
And
it's always good to have this logistics done.
you have a lot
And
of problems with deadlines.
sorry,
With deadlines, you have a lot of problems because like
deadlines.
yeah, we had yesterday an artist in Ilya Stronhowski, and he told like never gave me a deadline because if you will give me a task, I will not say you directly when
Yes,
I will do it.
yes, I confirm. Always give a deadline to an artist. Yeah, definitely, and make it like even maybe a week before you need it, like for sure. Give him like extra week, but don't tell him that he has extra week. That would be the best thing. And I'm an artist too, so I know what I'm saying. Definitely make a deadline for an artist, and make a deadline for yourself as well, because and then make it 3 days before you start with the mural, because there's always something lacking, always something not prepared to the end, and let's be honest, you would be never prepared fully, but you can, minimize the risk of being not prepared. So but these are like obvious things that every manager of every project should be, aware of. What is the most tricky part of making street art is probably how is it received, how is it you know, perceived by the local community, and that is what I would put some special attention on, to talk to people if they need this street art, if they like it, if they want to add something to that, how they can participate in the process of production of this street artwork, how they can express themselves, maybe not in a visual way, maybe in vocal way, like oral way. They can say something to artists. They can ask artists, make it possible for the artists to communicate with the local community, set a meeting for them, whatever, like not in terms of having some, you know, permission from them to do art, but to make them understand what is this art about and what is your purpose of doing it. You know, what for who, what is a problem that you want to touch with this project. Like there always should be some kind of meaning for what you are doing. I mean, it's in Poland we have this like it's not about painting just for painting anymore. I mean, we already painted like everything, you know. There's like too much paintings even. So we slowly start to be reasonable in what we are doing. We are starting to set some questions like, what for whom? You know, it's not a problem of money anymore, or it's a problem of achieving like high quality art, not just colorful pictures, not just cheery, nice compositions of figurative, narrative, you know, pictures. Just something serious.
Hmm. And which artists are now popular in Poland?
Sorry?
Can you give some examples of popular artists in Poland now?
Well, the most popular Polish art, street art group is Atom Crew. You probably heard about them. Atom Crew from Łódź. They are brilliant. They make beautiful pictures that you would love to have on your wall at your home as a poster or illustration. You would love to read a book with this kind of illustrations. But they actually do nothing real in the public space. They are just nice pictures.
Hmm.
They are not telling any important stories. And that's the problem, from my point of view. Atom Crew, they are really cool. I love them. Like these guys are really friends of mine. But this this doesn't mean that I agree with what they do in public space. These kind of pictures are nice and cozy, but they are not touching anything important, and that's the problem for me. And the other guys that are very popular are Sepe and Hasme, Michał and Daniel. They're also very, very nice artists. And they are sometimes trying to touch something more important in their works, so they are like, I think, level up. There are some other guys like Sławek Zbiok, ZBK from Wrocław. He is doing very conceptual, very site-specific art, also murals. So he's like another level up. Yeah, so you can make this gradation of different artists, not basing on the popularity of them, but basing on how much they are involved in what they are doing. That's basically what I would
And
describe it.
and which worldwide popular artists are now well popular
Sorry,
in
once again?
Poland? Like artists from world, who is now popular in Poland? Not just from Poland, but from all over the world.
Well, define popular. I
Uh,
mean, which one of them gets the most number of likes on Facebook, or which one of them have the most number of murals in Poland, or what would be the popularity measurement?
let's say about the not the mirrors in Poland, but also about the people who are trying somehow uh, to take this person as example for him.
Well, I think, unfortunately, the illustrative, narrative, figurative artworks like Atom Crew is doing is more popular
Uh-huh.
because it's much easier to understand. So what Atom Crew are basing on is probably Aris from Spain, who is a brilliant guy, like, you know, in privately, but he's doing just very, very nice pictures, but they are just pictures. And there's the other guy called Pixel Pancho. He's a friend of ours, and the also guy from Spain. And there's like this whole movement of this, like there's Satuan, you may know, from Munich. So these guys are popular. Many people are trying to do the same stuff, like similar stuff.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the less popular are guys like Blue, for example. I mean, Blue is popular, but not many people are trying to make it in the same way. So Blue, for example, when he comes to a city, when he's invited somewhere, he's trying to understand the context of the place at first, yeah? So I actually met him a few years ago in Krakow when he was doing a mural. I was kind of a curator of this event. And so he was working for 5 days long, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the evening, like 12 hours daily, straightforward, without like having breaks just for like food, and, or maybe just to go to pee because you can't possibly do that on a crane, but basically working all the time, yeah? And well, he's very orthodox. He's not eating meat, he's not drinking alcohol, he's not using phone, he's not traveling with the planes, this kind of stuff. So he's like very straight edge, yeah? But in the same time, he's very serious about what he's doing, and that's the approach that I admire. I mean, for me, that's the way it should be done. And we always told him like, Blue, come on, when you finish today, you're part of work, and before you come back tomorrow, so maybe we can have a party or whatever, or go somewhere, or maybe you will see some rest of the city, whatever. And he was always saying like, I'm a bit tired, so I think I will go to the hotel and I will rent a VOD movie about the history of Poland. Come on, guys, it's like, who do like that? I mean, I was working for 12 hours, and I'm not going to have a beer now and a nice chat, but I will go, and study deeper the context of the place that I'm working in. Yeah? So I think I will rent a VOD movie about Solidarność today, because I'm not very into this subject. So that's how it works, yeah, for him. So this is what I admire. He was working for 5 days very seriously, and after the fifth day of the work, when he was done with mural, he said, okay, now I can spend a few hours to visit Nowa Huta, because I've heard a lot about it and I want to see that before I'm leaving for Berlin or whatever, yeah, the next place. So that's the way it should work. Maybe it's a bit too straight, but it's impressive. Yeah,
And
it was impressive for me. So
and other artists who dealing with social art or community art in Poland.
there is a problem with social or community art in Poland, because there are some people who do that, but they are usually not very good artists. And that's a problem, because they do lots of good job in terms of social activism, but they are not very good artists. Yeah, I said it once, and I will say it the second time. They are not. And then the rule is that people who are good artists and very skilled and full of ideas, and they are usually not very much social engaged. And people who are social engaged, they lack the workshop.
Mhm.
So it's hard to be Blue. It's actually hard to be Blue, and so I'm hoping it's going to change in somehow eventually. But for the moment, we have like these 4 types of artists, of street artists in Poland. One of them, they're like illustrative, narrative, figurative illustrators. They make illustrations in big scale. The second one, they are making abstractional, architectural, compositions like Naver, like Proembryon, like Autone, like many people in the world. They are like on the other side. These guys are illustrative and figurative, and the other guys are like, abstractional, architectural, just lines and dots and nothing more. Yeah? So these are 2 types. The third type is the guys who are into the social problems. Yeah, so they usually paint like, for some purpose. They paint some. They are always against something. Yeah? They are against what is happening in Belarus, or they are against discrimination of whatever, like Jews or homosexuals or women or yeah, so on. So they are always involved in something, yeah, like ideologically, but they are not very good artists, unfortunately. And there's this fourth type of artists in Poland, street artists. They are, let's say, critical artists, like Sławek Zbijok, like Michał Picasso-Linov, like there are like few of them, very small group. And what they focus on is trying to find the borders of street art. So they are always trying to push street art a bit forward with mappings, with with billboards like advertising, but not only, but using billboards as a material, as a canvas for street art, with different medias, with augmented reality, yeah, with the mobile devices. They design some murals that can be seen through your phone, and you can see some additional content in your phone, like augmented reality, virtual reality. Yeah? So these are this. I'm a bit hot here. So these are these guys who are like trying to push the things a bit forward. Yeah. I hope that was the question, because I don't remember the question actually.
Yeah. Okay. And now we have very important questions. Can you show your T-shirt?
A T-shirt.
Yes.
Yes. It's a dead Mickey Mouse, actually. That's a T-shirt from Art Boom Festival. You can type Art Boom, like boom, and it's in Krakow for like few years. They also have this street art division, and they made some nice murals. Well, actually, we made some murals because I'm also working for the festival. But that's not the one I'm running. That's a different one. Anyway, there's lots of them. So yeah, that's a Mickey Mouse.
Okay, we're running out of time, so if you want to say something important, so you can do it in this minute.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say something important. I really do like Ukraine and Ukrainians. That's an important thing. And I really want you to make good art and be aware of what you are doing, because the thing that you are a bit, that you are not that far as Poland is now, is actually your, I think, very well and very good. And I'm hoping for Ukraine to have better street art than Poland have. Because actually Poland has a problem with street art now. There's too much street art and there's not a lot of good street art. So I'm hoping that you will take another way, like different way, more aware and more with some more critical approach. And I'm hoping all these people are sitting on the other side of the screen now will be more mature in this whole street art movement that we were a few years ago. When I was starting that, I knew absolutely nothing about that, and actually there was no opportunity to make this kind of Skype conversation with people from New York or Berlin or whatever. So I'm still hoping, maybe these subjects I'm discussing here with you are a bit too progressive for you for the moment, but I'm hoping that I will see a good effect in Ukraine in a year or two from now. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for you, and good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope that we will take a right path.